So, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video on my channel titled The Secret to Adding Maximum Distance, or like this one secret, or something really stupid like that. And that video was an April Fool's video. This video is kind of more accurately some tips to add distance. This is about the wide rail. The wide rail is an adaptation of the throw that some throwers have naturally developed, and it adds a lot of power to their shot. Now, lots of people will read online, they'll say, oh, they're talking about the wide rail, I want to know more because that's obviously going to add more distance to me. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think of the wide rail as descriptive rather than prescriptive. I keep wanting to say prescriptive, but it's prescriptive. Anyway, as an example, most of the content on my channel is prescriptive. It's do this to improve. If you try this, it will work better for you, or stuff like that. Things that I am saying that if you do, you will likely improve. But descriptive is different. Descriptive content is like, this is what that person does and it works for them. Not necessarily that you should do that. And that's 100% what I'm talking about when I talk about the wide rail, or sort of the counterpart to that is the deep reach back. So what is a wide rail? Well, a wide rail is a style of throw that develops off of a straight pull. If you pull the disc straight from the peak of the reach back all the way to the release, and you do that enough, your body will sort of adapt how you do that to do it more efficiently. And I'm talking over hundreds of thousands of throws. Think of it as framing a house. If the first time you ever frame a house, and that's like building the walls with the 2x4s and stuff, you're probably gonna have to focus really hard on how you hit the nail. You're gonna think, okay, I need to hit it perfectly perpendicular so the nail doesn't bend. I need to hit it with the right amount of power, and I need to make sure my hand is level with the back of the hammer. And so and it's gonna take you probably 5 or 6 hits to drive it in, but you're gonna be driving it in technically correctly. Now, compare that to somebody who's been framing houses for years and has driven millions of nails. He's gonna go whack, whack, and he's gonna have that nail in the piece of wood. And while he might not have technically as sound of a technique, he's not gonna be hitting the nail perfectly on each side. They'll sort of all cancel out, and the net product is a more powerful strike, so he's able to drive the nail in more effectively. That's sort of what a wide rail is. Technically correct, the best way to guarantee that you're gonna throw correctly is to pull the disc straight. Now, if you've done that a bunch and you start to develop a wide rail, that can add a little bit of lateral motion to the straightforward motion, and that extra lateral motion can add some power. It sort of adds more of a swing rather than just a straight, like a drag strip. How does it work? Well, you start by, the easiest way to think of it, I like to think of it as releasing the disc a little bit more to the left. So rather than releasing the disc in line with a straight pull, you release it off to the left some, and that's going to get you the feeling of ejecting the disc out away from you. And if you've got the feel of that, you're going to start reaching the disc a little bit wider so you can pull the disc in and eject it out. So if you're looking at developing a wide rail, I think that's the best way to start, and then keep throwing and throw as much as you possibly can until you can develop consistency with that, and then video yourself and make sure you're doing it all correctly, all through all the steps and stuff like that. So the descriptive part of a wide rail is you reach wide, pull tight, release out to the left, and that creates a little bit of lateral motion that can add to the forward motion and adds more power to the shot. The prescriptive part is move your release point a little bit to the left. Okay? The only thing that I think you should focus on doing is releasing a little bit more out here rather than over here, and that'll create a little bit more of that lateral motion. Now, the opposite of a wide rail is a deep reach back. Not necessarily the opposite, it's a similar thing, but it's just in the other direction. And that's where throwers will reach across their body, and then as they pull, they'll pull the disc in front of them and then snap it back to the right to get the straight flight that they're looking for. This is generally going to be your taller, your lankier throwers are going to throw like that. An example of a wide rail thrower is Eric Oakley. An example of another style of thrower, of the deep reach back thrower, is like Eagle and Simon. They generally throw with that deep reach back style. Now, neither one is technically more powerful than the other, I don't think. It's just a way that these throwers have adapted their throw to better fit their body. So this is why the wide rail is descriptive and not prescriptive. because you want your throw to fit your body type. If your body type is that tall, lanky, and you're determined to try and throw with a wide rail, it's probably not going to work out well for you. Unless it does, and who knows? Maybe the deep reach back doesn't work out well for you. It's all about what develops naturally, I think, rather than trying to force a certain style onto your throw. Now, so now for the ladies out there who are having trouble pulling straight, I very commonly see ladies throw with a good bit of rounding, where they reach the disc across their body and then start the throw with their shoulder, and they throw with a lot of torque coming from their shoulder. And that's not going to be very effective at throwing, and it actually can damage your shoulder. From what I understand from what Seth Muncie told me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to say anything medical advice related, but I do know that is not a good way to throw. It's not effective at throwing. For the ladies out there, a wide rail throw might be a little bit better fitted because generally they tend to have a smaller frame, and it might help with avoiding boobs. I don't have boobs. I've never tried to throw with boobs. I don't know what it's like, but I think throwing with that wide rail throw is going to be a more consistent and a more powerful way to throw, as opposed to trying to throw with that deep reach back style. So if you are worried about any potential injuries from hitting yourself in the chest or anything like that, I would suggest reach a little bit wider and then release a little bit farther out here, and focus on ejecting the disc out from in front of you out to here to that release point, and that's going to help add that little bit of lateral motion and add that power. So that is a description of what a wide rail is. For tips on how to implement it, I would start with just moving your release point a little bit farther to the left and throwing as much as possible and letting that style of throw develop. In all of these throws, I am throwing a Raider, and because I live right next to the Dynamic Disc store, I can go and get a stock stamp Raiders. These are releasing very soon. I am hyped as crap about this disc. This disc is amazing. I have one in my bag, and I might just put this one in because this one is getting a little bit more seasoned. Not very much, but it's getting a little bit more seasoned, and so I might have to add a new one. But I can definitely see these taking over pretty much my Defender shots. Besides having like a really overstable one, I can definitely see this being a bomber, this one being the reliable hyzer. I'm definitely super hyped about the Raider. First runs dropped last week. Stock stamps, I believe, if I get this video out on time, will drop on Friday. So keep an eye out for those. They might even be available in store for now, but the first run sold out in like 45 minutes. So keep an eye out for those. They are very good. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and always remember, slow is smooth and smooth is far.